Hi guys, welcome back. So it's been a while, but we've got Zach here. Fantastic to see you, Zach. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Great to see you as Rich and good to be back.
Yeah, no, it's been a while and a fair bit's happened. We've had a fair bit of rugby this weekend. Some pretty interesting stuff. You're probably smiling from that New Zealand result.
There's a couple of good New Zealand results over the weekend, so I'm sure we'll cover them.
Yeah. So we're just going to chat about the round two, I guess it technically is. I don't know, round one, round two of the Autumn Nations Internationals. Look forward to next week, chat about some other things, just have a basic chinwag, really. So go on, Zach, start us off. We thought about planning it, but we thought, no, let's just have a chat because there's so much to talk about. What do you want to talk about? You go for your topic first.
Let's go with the New Zealand 15. I want to start
Oh,
there
okay.
if you don't mind, something a little bit different. So, it was interesting when they announced that team. But what I'm starting to see now is that it's very much being used as an extended squad for the All Blacks as part of the autumn internationals. So, I'm seeing a lot of benefit from having them there and playing and access to other players, opportunity to see some of those fringe players in action, and fantastic performance against what I thought was a good set of Irish players that came down to New Zealand. Actually got a lot of confidence. So good to see the New Zealand 15 put on a good performance. A couple of names jumped out to me. Damian McKenzie, can't be too far away.
Yeah.
Stevenson, he's starting to fall into that mold of blockbuster wingers that come out of nowhere. So
yeah, he's got class. He's talented, isn't he? Goodness me.
yeah. So what did you think of that performance?
Uh, they're just so full of confidence and skill, and I think because maybe it was, a not a full international, the pressure wasn't there. I'm not making excuses or anything, but it was just great to see a free performance. Everyone really going for it. People putting their hands up. It's an interesting turnaround, isn't it? After the beginning of Foster's reign, when it really looked like things were falling apart a bit, we then see that sort of performance from a second 15, or if you want, and then the massive forwards performance against Wales, which was something that was completely missing at the beginning of Foster's reign. Could it all be coming together, Zach?
I am ever the optimist, as you know, Rich, but I have seen, there's the performances from the All Blacks have been up and down. It's been inconsistent, I think is fair, but I'm noticing an upward trajectory in that, right? The poor performances are getting a little bit better and the good performances are getting a little bit better. So that was, with the exception of some of the defense, I thought that was one of our better, more free-flowing games. Certainly built upon by the forwards. I thought they really muscled up. They put Wales on the back foot. Are we starting to see a bit of age in the Welsh forward pack? What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, that was one of the points I put out yesterday, actually, that, the likes of Wyn Jones, I thought Ken Owens tried really hard, but didn't make an impact. Tipuric doesn't look himself. Faletau still doing great. Yeah, possibly. But they were up against just a phenomenal pack, it looked like. So it's hard to gauge the Welsh just yet. But if New Zealand can put that sort of forward performance together with what we know they can do in the back line, it's a scary prospect. It is interesting to wonder if their game plan was just to go all forwards against Wales, or they just saw they were getting so many easy meters and tries, they just changed halfway through and just kept going. I loved it, to be honest, but I would like to see when they combine the two together if the magic happens.
Yeah. Now, the forwards coach of the All Blacks came out and said that to win in Europe, simple formula, forwards have to muscle up. So it's been a real focus area of the All Blacks the last couple of weeks. So that might have been behind the motivation, but I also think you're starting to get the right players in the right position. So that front row, I'm really liking the look of that little bit of youth, enthusiasm, and niggle. Like those guys are, there's a little bit of sort of in the ruck stuff I'm starting to see there, pulling up jerseys and little things. So there's just a bit of niggle going on, and I'm actually liking it. It's starting to feel like the All Blacks are starting to get their swag and confidence back a little bit.
Do you know what? I thought Papali'i looked really good in that role as like a really nasty 7. Just looks, in that sort of game, looks a better player than Kane to me. In a real scrappy fight. And then Geordie at 12 as well. That could be the master stroke that could take them to that, next level.
Well, we're starting to get the go forward in the back line as well. It was going left to right long periods there at the early part of the season. Now we're seeing a bit more direct running. So let's see, there's good options there. You've got Leonard Brown back as well. So it'll be interesting to see the makeup of that centre pairing.
I know you like your man Havili, and I've been critical of Havili, but you know, maybe I was right to say go somewhere else. I don't know.
Yeah, I might give you that one. I think we're starting to see the proof in the pudding.
Okay, right. Next one. I tell you what, let's go straight to England's abysmal performance against Argentina. And props to Argentina. They soaked up what England brought. And England did bring some big boys, and they really hit hard, and they were putting Argentina under a lot of physical pressure. But Argentina soaked it up, and England didn't have the wherewithal, the actual skill and ingenuity to break down the defence in the end. From your perspective, what do you see was wrong with England there? Was it a one-off, or do you see something a bit more serious?
I might turn this back on you if you don't mind, Rich, because we spoke previously. We had a really in-depth conversation about what Eddie Jones was trying to achieve. Going back a good few weeks ago now. What's your assessment based on that performance? We spoke about it being an all or nothing type approach that he was implementing. Are you starting to see the results there, or are you seeing that we're off course?
Okay, here's the thing. We're obviously guessing. We don't know the conversations behind closed doors, but from what he said in the press as well, he wants to win the World Cup, right? I mean, I've got a lot of respect for the guy, as in he puts in all the hours, he lives and breathes rugby, he's desperate to get England to achieve, but his goal is simple, it's to win the World Cup, and almost short of everything else. And for me, I don't think that's actually the right approach. Of course, you want to win the World Cup, but you can't expect fans to wait 4 years in case there's a good performance every 4 years. I don't like it at all. I think you can develop players and teams as well as live for the here and now as well. And I think he's just moved too far away. He's kind of have you ever seen the film Moneyball?
I have, yes.
Fantastic. He's basically looking for Fabio. He's looking for the next Moneyball, and he believes in his own ability, which is great. And he's looking, well, maybe if we play this way, maybe if we play this way, what's the next big trend? And I think he's got lost in the weeds, searching for Fabio, searching for Moneyball.
Yeah.
And he came out and said, look, we were preparing for the World Cup. We're trying things that he hopes are going to come off next year. And it's at the detriment of the players, the results, the fans, the atmosphere. The crowd was dead. So you can only go so far in that pursuit of the next big thing before you start disintegrating the here and now.
Yes.
I don't know if that's an actual answer, but that's how I feel it's going at the moment.
Well, he's all in on the approach. So it's high stakes. It's high risk. He either comes out as a hero or he goes down as a, bit of a failure at this period, I guess.
But does he? That's the thing. If, let's say England do well in the World Cup again, win it, I don't know, whatever. Let's say they do well. Is it worth 4 years of absolute pain for a few weeks of, this was pretty decent?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, okay, my view is 100%. The end justifies the means, right? So the World Cup's the big one. It is the pinnacle. And, it's a hell of a I told you so moment from Eddie Jones, who I know would take a lot of pleasure in that, particularly with the media. I think it's absolutely worth it.
Yeah. But the point I'm trying to make is other teams are developing their teams and players without having such a catastrophic effect on what's going on. Yeah. And then the second thing is you look at his selections, and either he is the cleverest person on the planet and everyone else is thick, or he's got it wrong. He's one of the two. I'm happy to take either option, but no one in the world, I'm pretty sure no coach in the world would select Ben Youngs. None. Yeah. He's where is he on the rankings of scrum half? Has been a great player, but if you were to rank him as who's the best international scrum half, where would he be? 20th, 30th?
Yeah, somewhere in that range, I'd say.
Billy Vunipola, so slow. Yeah. Where would you rank him? Above Aldry, RD Surveyor, Visa? No, nowhere near. So you're selecting players who are top 20 at best, and then hoping your genius system is going to come through. So, hopefully I am the sickie who's got it all wrong. But we'll see. Maybe he'll change. Maybe, but we seem to be wasting time. Anyway, rant over.
Yeah, it's fascinating watching, to be honest. And some of those names that you've mentioned, I mean, it does seem that like there's a bit of sticking to some of the old guards rather than bringing the new youth. So I'd like to see, maybe his strategy is correct, but he's got the wrong players in the system, right? Maybe that's because Ian Foster certainly had those challenges, and through forced injuries, we're starting to see improvements in the All Blacks. We're getting some more younger guys, variations in positions. So
yeah, I mean, younger doesn't obviously mean better, but and I know the best player doesn't always make the best team, but there's a cutoff where if a player is so far off the best in the world, it doesn't matter what system you play in, it's just not going to be good enough. So I think that's kind of the point we're in.
Yeah. As a segue, if I may, so obviously Eddie Jones loves a bit of a niggle with the media, and the word is that you will be in attendance at the upcoming England-Japan game with media accreditation.
Yeah, no, they've been very nice. Twickenham Stadium, very accommodating. They've let me come in for the Japan game. So yeah, if anyone's going to the Japan game, I'll be on the commentary gantry. Come down, say hello. That'd be great. Be hanging around probably the Lion Gate at the beginning. Be good to see some of you there. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see England live. Will they play a quicker game against Japan? That'll be very, that's something worth watching live. How they stack up, kind of speed and agility wise against Japan. Now, my guess is, like you say, he is preparing for the World Cup. So I expect we will see quite a different game plan. I think he's trying to, be real clever and try and do lots of different game plans for different teams. They're pretty sting. I imagine they'll be really stung after their loss to Argentina. So dare I say, I do predict a win for England, but Japan will fancy their chances, won't they?
Well, they put up a great performance against the All Blacks. So they're certainly a willing, able team. But like you say, I think there's just too much sort of, backs against the wall, and teams typically come out a bit stronger. So I'm predicting at England bounce back as well, a good performance.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, no, but it'll be a good day up at Twickenham on Saturday. I think the weather's actually due to be quite decent. So, and against Japan, it could hopefully be an entertaining game. But if I do get a chance to ask a question of, it's normally Eddie Jones and the captain or a player in the conference, I'll probably stick to just talking to the player, to be honest. Just because Eddie, and I've got a lot of respect that Eddie wants to protect his team. He doesn't really care what the media writes and thinks. I'm just not sure there's a particular point in asking him a question, because he's just going to say what he's going to say, and you probably get something more insightful out of a player. That's just my take anyway.
Yeah.
All right, Zach, what do you want to talk about next?
Let's go to the next major game. Let's go Ireland and South Africa. What did you think overall? So interesting result.
Yeah, I got a bit of stick from the commenters for this, and probably rightly so, to be honest, because I'm not an Irish fan. I was looking at the technical side of the game, and it wasn't the greatest technical game. But when you look at it as a spectacle, how close it was, the fact that South Africa had so much possession and Ireland were keeping them out, it was a fantastic win for Ireland at home against the world champions. And that South African team looked really good on paper. I mean, you looked at it and you thought, oh, this could be special. And they weren't. They were strong. They were physical. They had possession, but they didn't do a lot with it. And of course, the kicking was truly probably the worst I've seen from a South Africa side. Not just goal kicking, punting, up and under, everything. They could have won that game potentially if they'd had a better kicker. I mean, you can say you don't know that, but it's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, there's been calls for South Africa to look to evolve their game. Obviously, the box kicking, the tactical kicking, the forward dominated type approach. A lot of South African fans have been questioning, when are we going to start to see these these great backline players actually put to work. I actually thought they missed the game management of Pollard in that game. And, you know, to my assessment, maybe I'm wrong, others will disagree, but I actually really enjoy the style they bring to the table, and, you know, just grinding teams down, forward dominated, contesting kicks. I'm all for it. So while there's a lot of calls for them to evolve and look for you know, other options to be more competitive, I think just stick to what you know is, at this point in time, is as good a plan as any.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's space for all sorts of different styles. Teams don't have to play anyway, and if that's what they want to do, absolutely go for it. But of course, they'll want to do it better, basically. They didn't execute that game plan well. I have said if they want to, I think they do have the players to open out a bit more at times. So I really think they've got the talent if they choose to do that. But again, if they'd played that game plan better with a good kicker, they could have come away with a win against #1 ranked team in the world away from home, and, you know, what a great result. So yeah, I you know, you could go either way on that one, but they'll want to be better for sure. And their team's actually already out, isn't it, for the weekend? And surprisingly, they are sticking with Willemse at 10 and not putting Liebach straight in there, which I think is a real surprise. I wonder who's kicking at goal. What do you reckon?
They're obviously investing in Willems. They want to continue to persevere with them. Whether or not that's a long-term strategy or they're building depth at that position, I'm not sure. I'd probably suggest it's the latter. I think ultimately they will revert to style and revert to trend, and, you know, look to play that sort of usual style. So, yeah, I'm okay with it. I'd like to see more of Willemse. I'd like to see him develop his game. I'd like to see him in those big moments. So, more than happy with it.
I just think the problem is they can't stick with him as the goal kicker just because his misses are so wild sometimes. That's the problem. It's not like he's just missing here and there. Some of his misses are just absolutely nowhere near. So I wonder if it's LaRue or Colby going to be kicking. Anyway, and also he missed a couple of crucial punts as well. So I think it's a real risk. I mean, they're playing France as well. So I am a bit surprised they didn't go for Liebach on this one. Willemsen's a hell of a player, and they could use him 15, 12 off the bench. Anyway, I'm just not sure. That might come back and bite them, especially now France have had a warm-up game as well. And I mean, that was a hell of a game, wasn't it? France-Australia, segueing into that.
Just before we pivot there, I want to ask a question about Ireland. Genuine contenders. Are you getting the feeling now that Ireland are genuine contenders for next year's World Cup? I mean, it's been a great year for them. They've been put under all sorts of pressure and come through, you know, with great confidence. I know they're ranked world #1. That's on paper. But do you now see them as genuine contenders?
Well, yeah, they are genuine contenders. And I think we see there are lots of genuine contenders. I mean, there really are. You know, France, New Zealand, South Africa, Ireland, all genuine contenders. You could argue others as well. But for sure, I mean, once again, though, they have a stinking World Cup draw. Not that we're talking World Cups here.
Yeah.
You know, if they had an easier World Cup draw and they go fresh into a quarterfinal, they're more contenders. So it's all going to be about that pool. It really is. And if they get through the pool, what sort of shape are they in coming through the pool? Can they, you know, how will they go against the massive packs of the world, against the France, New Zealand, South Africa? You know, could that be a slight weakness? But I mean, if they get their game plan right and they have enough ball, they are truly phenomenal. But I mean, they're not nailed on #1s. They're not nailed on favourites, but they are in the best shape they've ever been in going into a World Cup. But once again, with a stinking pool.
Yeah.
So
I'll give you my view. I agree with everything you said, but I'm just not sold that that step up, as in under the microscope at a World Cup, with the hoodoo of a quarterfinal. Obviously, that hoodoo comes into play, you know, in a pretty significant way. They're either playing France or they're playing South Africa. I'm just not convinced that they've got the next step up to really nail that one. So I agree they are world #1 right now. There's a little bit less pressure in play right now, but once we get there, it's significant step up, and I just haven't seen it yet.
It's a biggie, and Ireland fans are very pragmatic. They know they're good, but they know that it's going to be so tough, and it's going to be, oh goodness me, it's going to be a tense World Cup for the Irish. It's going to be brilliant to watch, I tell you, as a neutral as well.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it'll be fantastic. What did I say? Oh, France, Australia. What a great game. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah. Me too. I think, Australia are showing, they're genuinely showing that they've got, the right tools there when they put it all together. Look, Dave Rennie's come under significant pressure lately, especially with results during the Rugby Championship, rankings, all of those things. So to see them turn out a good performance, I was really, really happy with. And they've got a couple of players that I think are really starting to step up. I'm liking the look of their loose forward trio. I think they're starting to get some dominance there, great ball players, and in the back line as well. So yeah, I think a great performance from them. But again, France were able to drive out, just sort of grind out a win. And geez, they're looking scary going into. I mean, just finding ways to win at this stage. That's the hallmark of a winning team. So, great game all around. Really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I mean, Australia they're a tight unit. I mean, they haven't got a huge player pool, but they know who their players are. They play for each other. They put in a huge performance, and they can beat anyone on their day. Absolutely. But the French players, their team just looked scarily good. You had Flamand there in the second row as well, alongside Wokey. So a bit more athletic ability. Before they were a bit lumpy, which was fine. But yeah, just the athletic ability, the kicking ability. When they get it right, they are very special.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, just to finish on, let's talk about a World Cup final, shall we?
We shall, yes.
So we have New Zealand, your team against England in the Women's World Cup final. What's your prediction? What's your call?
Well, first thing, before we go there, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here, Rich.
Yeah.
I think we've got the makings of a bet here.
Okay, yeah.
So we'll work out the terms at some stage, but I think between you and I, there's
going to be a little
wager on it.
Let's work out the terms now. What are the terms?
Okay, let's do it. So obviously I'm back in New Zealand. You before this actually said that you expect England to win this, so your position is pretty clear. Let's say if New Zealand win,
yeah,
you put out a quick video saying how fantastic the All Blacks are.
Sure.
We could, and I'll do the same. Of
the Black Ferns.
Yes, the Black Ferns.
Yep.
So we'll do a quick 20-second, 30-second video, just whatever it is, just putting it out there.
Okay.
Just how great the other team is.
And if England win, you do the same for England.
I'll do the same. Yeah, I'll do the same.
Okay, done. No problem. Now, I am quite confident. I think England's the Red Rose's biggest Achilles heel is themselves. They know they're good. They've been good for a long time. They know they've got the best team they've ever had. They know their pack is phenomenal. And they know if they perform as they should win. Kind of similar to when England won the Men's World Cup in 2003.
I was just going to say the same thing.
And it's how they cope with that pressure. And at times, sometimes they've looked a bit nervy. If they get their psychology right, as good as New Zealand are very committed. They absolutely love it. They're mad for it. You got Wayne Smith there coaching them. They're galvanized. They'll have tricks up their sleeves. But if England play their game plan, they kick their corners, they hit their mauls, they smash their rucks, they should be too good. Simple as. They should be too good. New Zealand will probably score some tries, but England could roll over them up front. Unless they make some silly mistakes, cards, stuff like that. So it's one of those ones where England know it's theirs for the winning, but if they show weakness, the Black Ferns have got the skill to capitalise. So it's going to be a cracker. But yeah, no, I'm backing the girls. I think they got this.
Yeah. And I'm backing my girls. So one thing I will say on the England team, though, exactly to your point, they really look like that galvanised, well-drilled 2003 World Cup team. Everyone knows where to be. They win the physical exchanges. They're just a really tight unit, well drilled. They've obviously played together, in a long time. So I've just been very, very impressed with them.
Yeah, they've just got good units. I mean, their halfbacks are really good. They've got a Rowlands who plays out either in midfield or 15, who's an extra playmaker. They've got speed. They've got Scarrett, who's the best centre in the world, and they've even got the ability to bring Poppy Cleal off the bench, who I think is the most destructive forward in women's world rugby, and they don't even start her. That, I think, is saying a lot.
Yeah. The backline for the Black Ferns, though, we've got a lot of X7s players that are just having phenomenal tournaments. So Ruby Tui, Electric out there, Portia Woodman. You've got
scrum half Cox Edge, is it?
Yeah, Cox Edge.
She's good,
just phenomenal players in the back line. So if they can get parity up front, which I'm probably not expecting, they've certainly got the players in the back line to put on points quickly and to chase a lead if they need to. So I can see it going both ways. I just think with a home World Cup, crowd behind you, confidence.
Do you know what's the forecast is?
I don't know what the forecast is.
That could be a big.
That will certainly play a part. This time of year in New Zealand, that's starting to get a bit better. So hopefully the heavens keep it clear for us.
Okay, so I look forward to that video then, Zach. That'll be good.
We'll see.
Cool. All right, buddy. We'll draw it to a close. Good chat, and hopefully we'll chat again soon and see if New Zealand can keep rolling on in the men's and the women's, and see if England can pull it together, amongst other things.
Let's see. Thanks for having me, Rich. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Thank you very much, Zach. I'll see you next time.